Yeah, g'day and welcome back to my channel. Now, long-time viewers will know that I do quite a lot of playing around with this little Clarkson tool and cutter grinder. But this is a pretty simple, basic tool and cutter grinder, and I only managed to buy it because my mate Franz bought a much better one and sold this one to me. So let's take a look at the improved, amazing tool and cutter grinder that Franz got. But before I can start with the cutter grinder reveal, there are a couple of other issues that we need to address. The first here is mail time. I bought some more grease, some oil for my bandsaw's gearbox, and a new grease gun, because I dropped the other one right on its tip and smashed it. I guess I'd better check to see whether it actually works. Now, this care package has come in from a very generous supporter in Germany, Alex. We were talking about my live streaming, and because he's sort of in an IT world, he's got quite a lot of used hardware. So he sent me through a couple of switches and some patch cables to help me out setting up my live streaming. And also some plugs and that to go on the wall. Also to nudge me along to actually trying out some MIG welding with the multi-process welder which he gave me. He's given me just a little CO2 bottle and a regulator. This is a little solid state drive for the field recorder and monitor which I got. And with some more patch cables. There's some of that very high strength bond double-sided tape everyone raves about. So thanks for all that, Alex. I'll put that all to my best possible use to improve the channel. Thanks. Now I was going to start talking about the tool grinder. So the lovely Mrs. Rotary came to me and said,
"Hey Mark, could you make me an advent candle holder, please?"
And the design looked a bit like this. You know, with like candles for like 1, 2, you get the idea. So I took one look at this and I'm going, this seems pretty inefficient. Why don't we just make it with... And you can just add 1 and then 2 and then 3.
Oh please, stop being silly and do a real one.
As you can see, it's not easy, but anyway, this is the candle I have to design around. I've still got a bit of cherry left over, so I guess I can make it out of that. Thinking about it, I can improve this design even further. Right, candles mean wax, and that means I can do a wax finish. Nice and quick. Quite like this stuff. I'll leave a link to the wax I'm using down below. I think it brings out the grain of that cherry quite nicely, don't you? No, I just have to sell it. Honey, I improved the design even more. I made it binary. Since there's only 4 states, like the first advent is no candles, the second advent is this one, the third advent is that one, and the 4th advent is both. Super efficient.
You must be kidding me. Where's my advent candle holder?
What do you mean? It's perfect. It's binary.
It's unromantic.
Well, let me get back to you.
Please do.
Anyway, what was this video supposed to be about? Okay, and as we can see, we're back at Franz's place. And today we're going to look at this little beauty here. So this amazing tool grinder is a TOS BN102B. So Franz has had this machine for about 10 years. When he got it, it was painted in that same pretty bad turquoise color as the cylindrical grinder. So he stripped it down to component parts and completely repainted it. When Debo1812 saw this machine in one of the earlier videos, he reached out to me because he's got the same machine and was wondering about all the accessories you can get for it. One of the custom accessories that it was ordered with is the hydraulic unit, which allows it to do the hydraulic movement of the main table in X. And this is the original TOS hydraulic unit, which was also an option for this machine if you bought the hydraulic table. Perfect for a nice, smooth, even grinding finish, huh? It was very cold during my visit, so the hydraulic oil was still very thick. It hadn't warmed up yet. So this is the mode where it just goes one full cycle, but forward and back, and then stops. There's another mode where it stops on each of the end positions. And we've already seen the system where it'll run continuously backwards and forwards. And you can also set how long it pauses for at each end stop, and also the damping that's set at each end point. Naturally, when you disconnect the hydraulic unit, you can also manually move the table backwards and forwards. Oh, okay, and can you just have it disconnected and even run it manually? I take it this is not a plain way. There you can see the crossed roller bearing guides under the table. One of the interesting aspects of this beam model is that the drive from the motor to the main spindle is a friction drive. This is the phenolic drive wheel. The drive to the spindle is through this side. On the back side there's a clutching mechanism. If the spindle gets blocked, it can slip on this face. This is the head which Franz has for his one. Another really interesting option is the way this can be swung not only through 360 degrees, but also its whole double articulated arm underneath it, which allows you to move it kind of anywhere. A super flexible machine. The spindle's also mounted asymmetrically here, so you've got a long end and a short end. So if necessary, you can move your grinding arbor to the other side if you need that little bit of extra reach or move it a little bit further back. So in addition to having 350 degrees of rotation here, 360 and 360, you also have the ability to tilt the head also through 360 degrees if you can make clearance for it. That is a super flexible machine, huh? And here it is over on the other side. While this can be turned through a full 360 degrees, you can only lock the lower joint around 350 degrees, because here where it's marked in red is the cutout of its T-slot to allow you to insert the T-bolt which locks the thing. So you can't lock the head in this position. On this side of the machine, we've got the wheel for the vertical adjustment, or you can connect it for the electrical adjustment. And because the electrical controls were kind of scattered all over the machine, the C model of this grinder had this additional electrical pendant module, and Franz liked it so much that he made one for this B model as well. There's no writing on it, but what is it, like spindle up, spindle down? Spindle start stop. So that's either water cooling or it's a vacuum. And the last two are hydraulics. So I figured since tool and cutter grinders live from their accessories, let's have a look at all of the accessories that Franz actually has for this machine. And it's a lot. I guess we need to go through and see what's missing, huh? So the most used tool is probably the universal dividing head. This side it's a 50 taper, and the other side it's a Morse taper number 5. So to index, you just press down the button. This is a 24 division indexing plate. You can switch that out for other ones. There's a whole bunch more indexing plates. Of course, instead of a chuck, you can also use collets for it. These are the original collets for the TOS. Okay. They look more like the sort of pressure collets that you have more on CNC machines normally, huh? And there's the collet adapter. Also an original TOS component. As a universal tool grinder, it is of course also offered with a cylindrical grinding attachment. So you can mount this, motor driven, drives your part. For a longer shaft or something, you'd use a center on the other end of it, and it's set up to allow 3 different rotational speeds of your parts. So you can do both internal and external cylindrical grinding with your parts set up in this work holding attachment. This unit's also been restored by Franz. The powered accessories use this old industrial plug, and this is the matching socket for it. Does anybody know of a source for these plugs? Because Franz would need a couple of replacements. Hey, while we're talking about old Czech industrial connectors, on the big cylindrical grinder, there are these ones. The connectors and their sockets are starting to fall apart. So if anyone knows of a source of these old Czech standard industrial connectors, please let us know. Although it's not a TOS accessory, the Haller UFS 155 spiral flute grinder is a specialized tool for both indexing and also grinding the clearances, which Franz often mounts onto the TOS because it makes the setup a lot faster and easier. We'll do a video on this some other time. Ooh. This is like Indiana Jones when they open the magic box with all the great stuff in it. So the first accessory we see here is a spiral grinding attachment with a guide bar. So this is not going to be very steady, but in the back here there's the attachment used for putting the clearance grind on a countersink. This is an internal grinding attachment. That's the cover for the belt. When you're doing internal grinding on the end of a shaft or something, you could mount it here in this fixed steady. Oh wow, tuning fork. Here's one of the pulleys for that internal grinding attachment. There are a couple of different sizes there. And behind it there is a second housing for it. These are the arbors for the internal grinding spindle. These ones were all made by Franz on the big TOS cylindrical grinder. Of course, everybody should have a drawer full of arbors and grinding disc mounting hubs. Very nice. Here's a bunch of diverse reductions, like it's probably Morse 4 to Morse 5. This is not an original TOS spindle, is it? But things like this could be used in one of those internal grinding attachments. And if anybody's got a spindle with a 70 or 80 diameter, please let us know. Here we've got the radius grinding attachment. This gets mounted to the table. Then either the universal indexing head or a work holding head gets attached to the top of this. Behind there you'll see there's a pair of centers for grinding between centers. They were the centers with the number 2 Morse heads. And this interesting little bit is a Herbert die head cutter grinding jig. It's not from TOS, but it's pretty cool. There's one of those cutting heads with those segmented thread inserts. This here's a control module for this. Is an electronic indexing head. So it's got a stepper motor on there that allows you to do infinite divisions. This is the control unit. This is an attachment for mounting things between centers, like long things, I guess like brooches and really long reamers or something. Behind there, what have we got? This is for putting the back clearance on something like a gear cutter. Yeah, that clearance grinding attachment. We didn't see that very well because it was in the cupboard. And here, air bearing spindle for like very low friction for putting the nice grind on the flutes of milling cutters and stuff. And the last one under here, if I can get it out, this is just the mounting for an original 3-axis vise, but the vise is missing. So if anybody's got a lead on an original TOS 3-axis vise, please let us know. I'm not going to drag this out because it weighs about a ton, but that's a magnetic chuck. Franz doesn't have the original TOS, but he uses a similar one. And out here in the barn, there's one more shelf where we have more steadies, fix and travelling, I think. There's also a centre, but this time with a Morse number 2. There's also a variety of different parts for raising the height of things. For example, to set a specific clearance angle, which is built into this one. This can be used for quickly sharpening big shell mills. Direct indexer where you can quickly mount something. A height gauge for setting things up. This is a diamond holder for dressing your wheels. Second dividing head. You can disassemble this head from its base and put this in between to give you all your range of motion. Over the back here, there's another clearance grinding attachment. And finally here, in another cupboard, we've got a set of riser blocks. So which accessories is Franz missing from the catalogue? This is for doing carbide lathe tools. You don't have that, do you? It's not really necessary anyway. I do that sort of thing with just a 3-axis vise. There's a special one for doing drills. You don't have that either, do you?
I don't have it.
But you'd like it.
I'd like it.
If anyone knows where to get one of those, please. So there you have it. Probably one of the best tool and cutter grinders ever made. Made in the mid-1980s, I guess. Fantastic machine.
Much better. That's exactly what I wanted. Thanks a lot. That's great.
Now, if you're enjoying my content, please give a thumbs up, maybe make a comment. That's what trains the algorithm and causes it to offer the enjoyable content to other people as well. And if you really enjoy the content, please consider becoming a Patreon or a member. The same bonus content's available to all, so you get to decide how much you'd like to contribute. And if you are a Patreon or a member, stick around. I'm doing a live stream straight after this goes live. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time.